sun shines brighter on this side of the university. Father Saturnino Urios University's On the Sunny Side is now on its second season. We bring you stories from our students, faculty, and the Orion community. We aim to spread hope and positive vibes to get us through these trying times. Tune in at 10:30 in the morning every Wednesday at FSU's Facebook pages and YouTube channel. Don't forget to always choose to be on the sunny side.
Good morning, sunshines, and welcome to another Wednesday dose of happiness and positive vibration. My name is Ronald Alan H. Butalib, single, available, and fully vaccinated.
And I am Anne-May Monique. Here on the sunny side, we continue to give you love and light through meaningful conversations. And once again, welcome to another episode of
On the Sunny Side Season 2! Nawa ka! Nawa ka
Imo magi kong gikalit-kalit o gingon na ng single na nabil.
Oo naman, mga pakapin, mag-ibaw siya. Okay, para.
Nawa ko kay nagbutbuot ka.
Correct. Wala sa atong script.
Correct. Mao na.
So, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Orions. Who are watching right now.
Good morning to our sunshine!
Good morning sa tanan. Good morning, Kyle Lim, and good morning sa Diyos, anak siya.
Ana sila. Sana all nag-chat na sa ato ang comment section.
So, kumusta man ka, Anmi?
Ay, salamat, Ana, napangutan. Parang sana, okay, wala ko kay baon sa akin siya pag-answer. But, sir, lumalaban.
Laban lang kita. Yes. Dili ta pwede mo surrender. Bawal mo surrender.
Good morning, mga kasingle.
Good morning, mga kasingle. Apil ta, ana, uy.
Ha? Ikaw
ay,
na feeling. Feeling joke, Diloy. I'm
single.
single.
Na nato. Wala pa din.
Single ta dire kayo. So, sir, ikaw, you asked me how I am. What about you? How are you?
Okay lang kaayo. I would like to congratulate everyone sa pagpasar sa ilang midterm.
Truly.
Nakapasar ba tanan, ha?
Untana.
Nakapasar ba?
Untana.
Muna panguntanang nagtangagin na kong ganti.
And speaking of congratulations, we have received good news
Yes.
and blessings blessings. So we would like to congratulate our new CPAs. Ayan, our Urian Sipali takers and our passers in the name of Junbert A. Parajang, CPA, and of course, akong crush.
Hala!
Kaya yung tibok Oriosani dyan. Congratulations, Denmark John Aragos,
CPA. So kana sila karunduha, pariente na sila.
Oh,
Parihan man sila kuan.
apelido
CPA. May agaw. Congratulations. And sa tanan nga ni take sa
Yes.
exam, congratulations. Katong 300 kapin nga ni take. Congrats.
2,000 yata.
Out
Open
of
ng 300.
2,000.
300 ang
300 ang
napasar, something
napasar.
like that. So, laban lang dyan sa atong mga kanang accountancy students, no, na nag-aspire mahimong CPAs.
Don't give up.
Yes, dili siya lalim. We are, I mean, a lot of people are voicing out concerns for reforms sa
dagan sila mga kuan,
yeah,
pero
so,
mag-wait
let us
lang
be
ta.
hopeful. Yes, let us be hopeful, no. The sun will shine brighter, John, for our
yesterday.
future
So, admi, we have here kaon-kaon na punta.
Yes.
Pasalamat kayo ta sa atong mga sponsors sa atong Kwek-Kwek
ganito.
and Takoyakwek. We have si Sir Bombet from the Kwek-Kwek Pinakwek Instacap Food Corner. So, nagmatagid siya sa'yo kay para natay Kwek-Kwek and the Takoyakwek. Located at AD Corato, ay Gomez Street, ay may Dato Silungan, Butuan City. Nakalimot ko. Dapit sa Central, Sir Bombet, thank you so much sa inyong lamian. Nanami,
Mga
snack,
ano
yan, mga umiwal, mamina mi sa among topic karon.
Truly. So, sir, how has our conversation about safe space helped you for the entire week? Grabe, paspas kayo, no? Last week.
Oo, murarag hapon ta nag-chikag last week. So, dahil mga realization nga napuy-an, kaya dili dapat siya nga ma-realize lang, pero dapat puy-an gud siya.
Yeah.
And then, ikaw, unsay kuan nimo? Take nimo sa atong topic last week.
Na-realize na ko na it is always better to communicate, Jud. No?
Chika gyud,
Yeah,
chika.
chika gyud. And at the same time, tune in with your emotions. Never deny them.
So, murag Maminog FM, tune in.
Pero sa imong self nga FM, Ana. Speaking of mental health, safe space, and acknowledging emotions, today we are gonna be also talking about something na factor, no, sa atong mental health, which is
Still,
very important.
this is in celebration sa atong mental health awareness month.
Yes.
Sa Orios, daghan tayong mga activities, right? O tayo
Correct.
ikaw, estudyante man ka, so makarelate ka sa mga activities nga gihatag sa mga guidance counselor sa
Shout
inyo.
out sa guidance. Hinay lang sa assessment. Charla, bitaw, ma'am and sir, pwede
Hello?
isa lang. Di ba to? We have, mag-post ng photo about us with plants or
Environment?
nature,
With
environment,
environment.
ganun. Oo. And we have an activity na mag-sit down and have a friend, something like that.
Murag,
Oo.
share a table and win a
Yeah,
friend
something like
by
that.
FSU UCAF.
Oo, ganyan. Na siya dito sa amo ang NEO LMS na assessments ba. Oo, mag-ask. Pabuhat mi na mag-list down may 3 questions. Anything na kanang we just like to learn about another person.
Okay, so it's a good way of communicating.
Yeah.
Bahalag online lang, bahalag through, dili face-to-face, pero at least makachika ka with other people.
Yeah, and also, kanang itong maka-learn po ka from the experiences of others. Ganon.
Yeah, so before nato iko ang atong topic for today, shout out sa atong mga 248 viewers. Hello! Okay, so good morning kang mga kuan lang ta kanang random lang ta.
Okay, go, sir.
Josh Errol Cadiz, sa Nool Pasar, Cal Limin, Alfred Bonete Remolio,
present yun na
permanente
siya sa
yun
attendance every
Louis
Wednesday.
Gabriel, Ann Cubillas, Jo Marie Cabalan, Danica Marvin Babor, Jessie Mahina, Ross Poblete, Iboy Boy, good morning.
Jeremy Estosos Oliveres, and may paki-shoutout si Kuya Henry. Kuya Henry, among bishop. Nami contemporary world zone na, tapos siya among bishop. Woohoo! Shoutout kay Henry. And also, good morning kang love you mo.
Kinsa mo na?
Ambot. So, gimingaw na ko sa iya, please, chat ka na. Sana
Oh, ay mo chat ra ko.
Sige, magpaabot daw ko na siya, ana, sir.
Okay. So, Sunshines, enjoy watching today's episode with your family, of
Yes.
course. You may also post your comments below.
Yes, and since On the Sunny Side is a safe space, pag nanatay talk later, don't hesitate to add in your insights, your feelings, your experiences about sa ato ang talk today.
And shout out sa SAC President, si Daryl Luis sa Pueblos. So, hello.
Agkang Elizabeth, dahil nga natanang sa akong live gabi eh. Shout out, girly. I miss you. Okay. So, karon.
What's up?
What's up, sir? So, our topic for today is healthy family, healthy me. Sir, how important is your family to you? How do they affect you?
Ay, super, and me. I cannot live without my family. Okay, so, ang akong family is my life. I consider them as my kanang treasure nga kanang kuan magid kaayo ko kanang dependent ko sa akong family. Once nga kuan although separate ko puyo sa ila pero still the communication is there and ate gyapon sa ila niya bunso gyapon ko so di gid mawala and then I cannot, as I have said, I cannot live without them.
Grabe po ka family oriented, sir.
Super.
And friends oriented as well. Ayan.
Ikaw, how are you with your family?
We're good. I mean, every day is an adjustment kay, kanang online class, mag-work, tapos mag-change na po ang mga schedules, but every day is also a blessing because I'm so happy na everyone is healthy and everyone is safe.
More gid na siya.
Yeah, and naapay food sa among table. Kanang nanabito, sir, so kanang the little list of things, thankful jud mi sa akong family.
Correct.
Grateful all the time. Ana.
So,
Ganon.
dapat yun.
Ganon. So, speaking of our families, today, we will be talking about, again, healthy family, healthy me. But syempre, dili man ta,
Dili ta legit nga mga kuan. Dili nato ni kuan kanang area of expertise.
Yes, that's why, kani nga episode is, atong pasalamatan ang ORA, Office of Religious Affairs, ang clinic,
yes,
and
ang
of course, ang atong
guidance
always
office,
active guidance
center.
office. Yes.
Shout out kay Ma'am Jo nga
Birthday
nakuha
ko
nga
niya
birthday
karon.
niya nga dili di ay. Og ang best in outfit nga si Ma'am Kuan, Ma'am Ma'am Inday Gales. Nakalimot man ko. Uy, Ma'am, sorry kaayo, Ma'am Inday Gales.
Ayan,
And
oo.
shout out kang Sir Carl and kang Guide Enya.
Grabe na dyan
Kompleto
yun.
kay
Grabe.
memorize.
Correct. So, wala shout out. Shout out kung Kuya Adam from Okaraga. Congratulations sa inyong pagkanta sa John Lennon Songwriting Competition.
Inshallah.
Proud kami.
Congratulations.
Yes. And now,
Sige.
sir,
Take it away.
I
Ipaila-ila.
shall.
Oo.
Okay. So, because kakasabing nga lang po namin, we're not experts on these kind of talks. And of course, we need to be sensitive in presenting these kind of topics since, So today, I will be introducing to you
So magkaon-kaon sa akong kwek-kwek.
our guest speaker. Okay. So, she is a licensed psychometrician, psychologist, and a registered guidance counselor with the Philippine Regulatory Commission. She's a certified specialist in counseling psychology by the Psychological Association of the Philippines and an active member of the local and international professional organizations such as the Philippine Guidance and Counseling Association, PGCA, Psychological Association of the Philippines, PAP, Asia Pacific Student Services Association, APSSA, APSA, and the Association of Psychological and Educational Counselors, Asia Pacific, ASEAN Regional Union of Psychological Societies, and International Union of Psychological Science. First paragraph pa to, guys. Feel na
Busy lang ko diri ha. Okay na ko diri.
She also has 20 years counseling experience, has served as coordinator for linkages and programs for both adult and student at the Student Discipline Formation Office, and as the Associate Dean of the Office of Student Affairs, DLSU. She has previous affiliations with various educational institutions and industries, providing her expertise in counseling, psychotherapy, and psychological testing. She is currently the director of the Office of Counseling and Career Services at De La Salle University, Manila, DLSU, incorporator and director for Quality Assurance and Corporate Sustainability at Gray Matter Psychological and Consultancy Incorporated, chair of the Counseling Psychology Division, PAP, and board member of the Association of Psychological and Educational Counselors of Asia Pacific. She has organized various workshops and developed modules and training programs on self-management, life skills, wellness, and counselor self-care, and the likes. She advocates for positive mental health and the promotion of well-being and the prevention and management of psychosocial, psycho-emotional distress, and other mental health conditions. I believe, sir, makatun jud ta karon.
Daghan tayo makatunan.
Yes. And
Pero the challenge now, kailangan nating mag-English or kailangan mag-Tagalog.
Filipino, oo.
Kasi hindi nakaintindi si Ma'am ng Bisaya man.
Hindi marunong lumingon sa kanyang paninggalingan ay hindi makakarating sa kanyang
Paruroonan.
Kaya kailangan nating mag-Filipino. Ayan. So, ladies and gentlemen, with a resounding
Virtual applause.
applause. I'm pretty sure daghan tag learn because she's a very credible person to learn from. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Miss Elaine Marie Aranda. A virtual applause. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Miss Elaine.
Good morning, Annie. Good morning, Ronald. And good morning to all our parents and students from their respective homes, from their safe places. Thank you for attending the Sunnyside learning session on mental health with the topic family well-being. You know, spending your morning with us, be involved and participate in the discussion is more than anything, right, Ronald?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
Annie?
Yes.
I hope you'll be joining me in the discussion. I know you have your testimonials later on pertaining to your relationships at home, and we would like to hear that from you. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
What about?
thank you. Well, yeah, for our engagement, for your engagement and interest in understanding your children and your family, thank you. Thank you so much. This is a good advocacy to begin with, maintaining healthy relationships, with the family, and how to deal with the concerns is actually our commitment to making our family well and functional.
Let's do this.
Okay. Do I start now?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Take it away, ma'am.
Okay. Sige. Okay. Permission to share my screen, and now you're viewing my screen. You see that? Okay. Thank you so much. Well, I pray that the session would increase your confidence with yourself and with the other members of your family so you can facilitate positive relationships, support one another, and trust within the family. In my presentation today, I would like to focus on two things. Okay? The family's influence on our well-being and how each member of the family affect them family well-being. So meaning family affecting our individual well-being as members of the family, and how each of the members is actually affecting the entire family well-being. I hope that sounds great just to begin with. So let me start with the question we all have in mind. Why are some families happier than others? Bakit nga ba? When we look at the social media, when we check on other families, why it seems like they're more happier than us? And why do some parents and children have higher levels of well-being than others? Perhaps why do some parents and children have more engaging relationship, more involved, and why are there others who basically have none? Okay. I would like to also share with you, in a study conducted by Dee and Chua, study kaagad, research kaagad. Well, it's all way better to start with realities, the facts. So in the study conducted by Dee and Chua from the University of the Philippines on happiness among Filipino families, Filipinos are generally observed to display happiness despite the experience of any challenges, despite the poverty and all sorts of challenges like what we are experiencing right now, the pandemic. We hope to see more of this kind of research to provide more support on their claims. But generally in their study, According to them, the primary sources of happiness of the families includes good family relationships. Okay? And that is something that we look forward every day in, day out, no? Good family relationships among siblings, no? Mom, dad, mom, son, mom, daughter, no? Dad, mom, dad, daughter. These intricate family dynamics, no? Espousing good family relationship. Again, another source of happiness of the families include family togetherness. There's a sense of belongingness. They are always with one another, together. In Lasal, we call that together and in association. Okay, family togetherness. For some, happiness of the family would include having children, having good faith in God, and good health, of course. On the other hand, families strive to achieve or experience happiness. So it's not a one-way street. There's always a two-way, two-way angle on this. Before you experience happiness, you really have to strive and achieve the following, learning to be contented, learning to be to acknowledge what you have and be happy with what you have as a family. Family also strive in finding ways to solve their problems. There are a lot of instances where each members would seek for answers and solve their family problems, seeking solutions from the other, from the outsiders. But striving to find ways to solve their problems is actually an indicator, that the family is a happy family. Engaging in leisure activities, it may not be every weekend going out, that is very limited, due to pandemic. But prior to pandemic, you see family going out every weekend, spending time at the restaurant, beaches, countryside, and also developing optimism. Or even if not outside, even in the comforts of their own home, engaging in leisure activities like bonding together, baking, a lot of families strive to have this, and developing optimism, maintaining that optimistic stance of the family. Okay, so if you check on the activities all families are striving for to experience happiness, these are very well expounded by what mental health is. Okay, ulitin ko ha, I would like to repeat, learning to be contented, finding ways to solve their problems, engaging in leisure activities, and developing optimism. I want to share with you what mental health is. Okay, mental health generally relates to enjoyment of life. Is it more synonymous to engaging with leisure activities? Having the ability to cope and bounce back from stresses and sadness, finding ways to solve their problems, being able to set and fulfill goals. They plan as a family, they hold family meetings, and they achieve these goals by members and by family as a whole. And having the capability to build and maintain relationship with one another. Okay, and of course, being with each other, every time. So mental health is the driving force, of well-being in the family. See, when we are striving for happiness as a family, we are actually promoting mental health at the same time. Okay, because as we strive for happiness, mental health is also going there, reaching the optimal level of mental health. Without mental health, it is really hard to achieve happiness among family members and family as a whole. In fact, WHO have set indicators for optimal mental health, and this is for the individual members of the family. In the previous slide, I shared with you the family as a group, a family as a small community at home is actually striving, no, to reach that happiness. WHO set indicators for optimal mental health for each person or for each member of the family. And there are 6 indicators. To begin with, there is a realization of one's potentials and abilities. When a member of the family, si kuya or si ate, si mommy, no, and si daddy, those, no, their potentials and abilities, that is a good indicator of mental health according to WHO. When each one copes with the normal stresses of life, when the bunso have problems, difficulties with friends, no, and are experiencing stresses relating with others, the bunso easily copes up with challenges, but still cope up with the stresses of life. That is an indicator of a mental health. If the family member, no, regulates his or her emotions and relate well with others, no, whether inside the family or in the with peers, and being productive in academics or in anything that the member of the family is engaged with, when he or she is productive, that is indicative of mental health or optimal mental health. And of course, if you are able to contribute to the community. Well, despite the pandemic and our limitations, no, socially distant, physically distant tayo, it is not really an excuse to contribute to your community. Remember, a life of happiness is a life of engagement. So whether it's virtual, if you are increasing your volunteerism, your engagement with your community, like the Sunny Side, no, community, that increases mental health and a good indicator of a positive mental health. In the indicators of mental health, you won't see any words such as depression or anxiety, no? Because it only shows that mental health is mental health and mental health is not mental illness. They are different from each other. In fact, a lot of people have used the term interchangeably. Uy, may mental health siya, may problema siya, no? No, may mental health siya, depressed siya, no? May mental health concern siya, may mental health problem siya. She or he must have been diagnosed of depression or illness or any other mental illness, no? Mental health is different from mental illness, and I would like to take this platform as an opportunity, no, for me to share my advocacy in bringing, no, awareness to all communities, not if not all, at least, no, one community at a time. But mental illness is different from mental health. Okay, when we define mental illness, it's more on the neurologic, no, or psychiatric condition characterized by the existence you really see recognizable and clinically significant disturbance in a person's way of thinking, emotional regulation, no, they cannot really regulate, dysregulated in other words, no, and risky behaviors. It's not just that they love engaging with risky behaviors, it's just that they cannot control it, okay? And it can be reflected from the genetic makeup or acquired, dysfunctions, no, in the areas of psychosocial, no. If you are exposed, no, if you have a prolonged exposures to the negative life activities or negative life challenges, no, it will definitely increases the propensity of you developing a mental illness, no? And with that, it create, no, the difference between mental health and mental illness create a quadrant. So it's really possible, no, that a person with a positive mental health, a person with mental illness can really achieve optimal mental health, and that goes with the first quadrant. No? There also that is also possible. There are also a group of individual that, no, they experience positive mental health at the same time they are free from symptoms of any mental illness. So these are the more ideal, no, the more ideal, and we maintain that group. We maintain that group by helping them engage socially. No, there are also group of students or group of people who have poor mental health, with mental illness. Okay. And who are these people? These are the group of people who never seek help. They know that they've been suffering for quite some time, but they never seek for help. Seeking help for them is a sign of weakness than a sign of strength. And there are also a group of people who have poor mental health, but without mental illness. No, they are easily distressed. They are impatient. They cannot really create positive relationships. No, I defined what mental health is, optimal mental health is, and the opposite of that is poor mental health. So if you are encountering friends or family members, the kids, or even your parents, no, or the mom and the dad may have experienced, may have witnessed the member of the family in distress. It does not mean that that the member of the family is right away suffering from any mental illness. Okay, it could be they have poor mental health, and we just have to provide them opportunities to again reach the level of optimal mental health. Remember, mental health now, remember, mental health includes all our emotional experiences, psychological, and even social experiences. Okay, it affects how we think, feel, and act, and it also determines how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. If in the family, members of the families having hard time making decisions, making choices, always quick to judge, no, and never reach the level of positive relationship with others, it could be that the person is suffering from poor mental health, but without having to suffer from any mental illness. Okay, you have your guidance counselors to consult with, and they can refer you to clinical psychologists or psychiatrists, no, to bring down or to avoid the stigma. The licensed mental health practitioners are there to provide you with interventions to help you recover, either from poor mental health or from any mental illness. Okay, well-being, on the other hand, is increasingly synonymous to happiness. It cannot really encapsulate happiness as a whole, but it is always, no, it is always associated or used as a synonym for happiness. Well-being, if you're well, you're happy, you're contented, no? You are satisfied. So with mental health, if you notice the indicators of mental health, if you have those, it's easy for you to achieve happiness, to experience, no, and to witness happiness among family members. Okay. When we talk about family well-being, okay, it talks about the quality of relationships, no, we have between our parents and the kind of relationship a parent and their children, okay, are exposing. Okay, it is actually when you notice family that are always in agreement, and at the same time they agree to disagree. No? They agree to disagree with one another without having to judge one another. That is a family that is very well espousing happiness. No, it's not all the time that we agree with our parents. It's not all the time that our parents agree with us. But we learn to understand where are they coming from. I totally disagree with you, son, but I understand where you're coming from. Okay. A daughter may tell a mom, na mom, I really understand where you're coming from, but in this time, in terms of my choice for college, I would like to disagree with you. And that's perfectly okay. That's perfectly okay. It espouses good assertiveness skills, and assertiveness skills is one of the social skills that we teach, no, students, even young ones, no, learning to assert, no, with their peers, and mas maganda, the better that they learn the assertiveness skills in the comforts of their home kesa sa labas. Okay? That is something that the parents would like to really spend more time with, encouraging their children to speak out, no? And sabi nga, safe space, even at home, we provide that safe space with our children, not contradicting them, but supporting them. If you are disagreeing with the views of your children, you come up, look for the kernel of truth with what they say, and validate them despite you disagreeing with them. So that is something that each of the family, each family in the community would really strive for, so that we can experience well-being or wellness in the family. We heard a lot of time that families are the very foundation of all communities. No, we heard a lot of time as well that our parents are our first teachers. No, that taught us how life important is. No, how relationship. No, how to relate with each other. How to value invaluable things like relationship. Okay, they play a critical role in the well-being of the individual member of the family, because when the member of the family is well, the family is well. Okay, family can only thrive if they are connected with each other. Family can only thrive if they value one another. And family thrive despite the pandemic if they have the sense of belongingness in their own home and in their own community as well. There are four influencers of family well-being. The first is the type of family. This is indicated by whether one lives in one or two-parent household. There's been an increasing, data would always show from NSO PSA that there has been increasing number of family type, with one parent. But despite the type of family, either two parent or one parent, we can create family wellness. We can create and achieve that well-being in the family. Okay, so whether the parents are married, okay, that whether the parents are cohabiting with each other, or in other words, we call that live-in. But alisin na natin, in our vocabulary, the term live-in, we coined it cohabiting. You may have parent that is single, or you may have parents that are separated. It is not your fault. You are brought up in this world, loved, and continue to deserve that love. Okay. The second influence of family well-being is the family processes. The way in which conflicts are addressed, conflicts come in, conflicts come out, but how they are addressed. The intergenerational history of family relationship. Si Lola may galit kay mommy. Di ba? Usually we have that, the in-laws, conflict, the family feuds, and we call that intergenerational history of family relationship. Okay, attitudes to parenting and the family roles, the role of the kuya, the role of ate and the bunso, and how dad are contributing, to find solutions to any problem. These are all family processes. How each one, of the family members are consulted, to address a certain challenge, address a certain conflict. These are all family processes, and that influence family well-being. The third is individual characteristic. Well, even twins are different from each other. We are very unique. Even if you are born identical, with your twin, o kamukhang-kamukha mo yung mama mo or yung dad mo, para kayong pinagbiyak, na bunga, you are still different from each other. There is certain individual differences. So these individual characteristics contains our personality traits, how positive and negative our emotions are, as well as our psychological independence or interdependence, or even our coping style, our coping skills, and how we understand the everyday, how we understand the daily living. These are all individual characteristics. Your intellectuals, these shapes well-being in the family. And the last is the family circumstances, such as the life events. Family circumstances, how are you struggling with the pandemic, the education, no? Um, si kuya na lang muna, no, mag-aaral, and then after kuya, and then it's your turn to take on your college degree. The social class. If the parents are both working, the hours they are working, no, 8 hours, 6 hours, to some 12, and to some 16, especially in the time of pandemic, where we no longer define boundaries, no, because we are in the comforts of home. It's okay. Ganun din naman yun, no? If I will go out and travel, it's just the same, but that's not a healthy course. Okay, family circumstances. These four influence, no, our family wellness or our family well-being. In many instances, the influencers, no, the family type, the family processes, the individual characteristics, your intellect, your personality, how you are, how resilient you are, your coping skills, and the family circumstances are actually affected hardly by the pandemic. No? And when it was affected, if they when they were affected by the pandemic, it actually affected a lot of family functioning. When the COVID-19 hit in 2020, there are a lot of families, no? They found themselves suddenly isolated together at home. Okay. For some initially, walang pasok, no? There's cancellation of classes. The more time that we can enjoy as a family. But days come, weeks come, no, and months, no. This is becoming challenging, especially for children, where learning is achieved through social interactions, no. For adults, we're done with that. We've learned so much, no, with us interacting with peers, with teachers, with friends, no. But for our growing children, this can be a lot challenging for them. The learning are hampered actually. Okay, when they learn socially outside the home, the world out there, pre-pandemic, the world out there is the space, no, the parents provide them in order to learn from the mistakes they encounter outside. Okay, parents would never knew what really is happening with their kids when they're outside of home. But trust, no? We trust and love them enough that we provide that space, the big space out there, no, in the outside of the comforts of your home. We provide them that space for them to learn from the different experiences. It can be an achievement, it can be a fall, it can be a mistake. When they encountered it, they will definitely learn, and that is something that we provide them. Growing up, we learn from the good and not so good social encounters, and that is a reality we have to take. A life worth living has both comfortable and uncomfortable aspects in it. Consider the mistakes and the challenges, the uncomfortable aspects, and that makes life worth living. Now, with the pandemic, the story became a bit different, or well, drastically changed the story. The pandemic drastically changed the story of learning at home and learning outside the home. The limited social connection of family members outside, no, the parents, no, when they're working, both of them working, or if they're not working, no, they're a full-time mom, they engage, no, with their school, no, creating a community with other moms, no, or an organization in the community. The pandemic limited the social connection, no, not just the mom, the dad, but all of the family members. Okay, and these limitations have a lot of detrimental effects on individual and the family in general. Since the government restrictions like the ECQ, madami yan eh, ECQ, GCQ, MECQ, lahat na ng CQs, it actually hampered social learning opportunities. No? Most especially, the closure of schools for in-person classes and work from home for some industries, no? That actually hampered a lot of learning opportunities, no, for the members of the family. The past 2 years in this setup really caused physical fatigue. We all thought initially that it's really good, no, it's a time for more weekends with the family, but the 2 years is really enough. In fact, 1 month is not, it's too much already, and what is 2 years to begin with, It causes physical fatigue and emotional exhaustion among family members, okay? While we are in the comforts of our home, there are high propensity of overdoing the work, overdoing the work that we do for the kids, overdoing the classes, aside from the synchronous, may asynchronous pa, and aside from the asynchronous, meron pang other activities, that are academically related. These activities sacrifice a lot of boundaries for the family, we no longer define family time, school time, work time, and household chores, okay? As a parent myself, and a working mom, I work from home. That is something that I'm really challenged, I'm really challenged, okay? And despite that we are in the comforts of our home and providing a safe space, a place, and a guidance for our children, in the time of the pandemic, it can still be challenging, It is because the word safe, safe tayo dito, it's a safe space, it's a safe place. The word safe and safety in these times of pandemic is almost close to impossibility. We cannot really see, the culprit, you cannot see the virus, and you cannot see the emotional burdens, You can just feel them. And when you feel them, nandun na sila sa worst level, okay? The worries, the fears, and the uncertainties can damage the well-being and functioning of the family. In 2020 up to present, again, I would like to share with you studies conducted on family well-being in the time of pandemic, At the onset in 2019, ang bilis, there's a lot of researchers would be grappling around and sending out surveys, The physical limitations does not limit them to come up with good studies. Of the many studies about family well-being in the time of pandemic, they found that in the first months of the pandemic, parents reported that their children were experiencing much higher levels of internalizing problems. These are depressive symptoms, anxiety symptoms. These are internalizing. It came from the internals, And externalizing, problems such as destructive and aggressive behavior than before the pandemic. The aggressive behavior and the destructive behavior can be a function of their boredom, of their anger, of their grief, of their lost social connection. See, this is something that we call their life, Social connection is our teenager's life, Without social connection, they can be very distracted, angered, and grieving. Parents also reported that they themselves were experiencing much higher levels of depression and lower levels of co-parenting quality with their partners. The low level of co-parenting have been associated with boundaries working from home. See, you parents who have the tendency not to set that clear boundaries, work until 12, hanggang kahit anong oras abutin, and then the co-parenting suffers, And that becomes a personal struggles affecting family members at home. According to another study, international study, Mark Weinberg from the Penn University, okay, stress in general, whether daily hassles or acute, crisis-driven stress, typically leads to greater conflict and hostility in family relationships. So if parents can support each other in these situations, they will be able to be more patient and more supportive with their children rather than becoming more harsh and angry. Feinberg added that understanding what can help parents maintain positive parenting practices, such as positive co-parenting relationship, is a key for helping protect children during the future crisis and just like these times, the pandemic. Okay, it can be, after the pandemic, there will always be economic, or natural disasters or whatever. Maintaining that positive parenting practices will definitely protect your children. Another negative impact of the pandemic is the increase in financial stress among families. This led to higher levels of parent stress. No, okay, upcoming bills again. Oh, kababayad ko lang, there's another set of bills, credit cards, and so on. Investments or utilities, food, groceries, no? It added, no? It added to the stress, no? The mental health problems and interparental conflict as well, which can lead to more harsh and even abusive, no? Parenting. When the parent are in deep stress, they are distressed. When we say distress, emotionally and mentally confused, sometimes they are not in the right disposition to decide, no, for their own and for their kids. Hence, the other parent will have to take in. Hence, the uh, supporting one another in the co-parenting. So aside from the financial stress, there are also problems related to being isolated together. No? Isolated and isolated together, no? Iba yung you feel isolated, no? As a member of the family, you feel isolated. And as a family, you are isolated together, okay? These these actually have issues, no? Um in terms of a more parang group fear na, a family fear, no? When you're isolated together, you all live in uncertainties, you all live in anxiety, you all live in worries, no? And there's really, a lot of threat to mental health on this. Hence, we really have to, we really have to work together as a family. Okay, later on, there are a lot of slides that will teach us on how to maintain positive mental health among the family and with each member of the family. Now, there are actually a family member that are susceptible to the effects of the pandemic, and they are the learners. While parents are really susceptible as well, but they are in the forefront, taking care of the kids. In fact, mabigat yon. It's really something like uh, the grace will get them through and through and through and through. No, that's why a happy family indicator, no, is having a good faith in God, okay? And being all together. This is something that I admire a lot of family and parents, no, rather, for keeping their children still well, no. Now, the family member, okay, that are secondly susceptible to the effects of the pandemic are the learners themselves at home. The learner are mostly prior to the pandemic are where? In the universities, college, in school, but the learners now are actually at home. Okay, we know that, the government would have that restrictions to reduce the spread of the COVID-19 virus, no? Especially the young ones who up until the moment are not really cleared yet for COVID vaccination. Now, when the government restricted school to hold an in-person classes, and that goes now for almost 2 years now, we all rely our learning on virtual classes. And mind you, the strain, the virtual classes will always have implications for the effectiveness of learning process among the learners. No? In fact, there have been studies conducted, done on students' learning and the new online setup, during the COVID. And the reason why I'm presenting this is each member of the family contributes to the family wellness. No? If the learners at home are drastically affected by the learning environment, definitely the family in general is affected as well. I will show with you reasons why. Okay. In the many studies conducted, the common findings would have that students, okay, have started to get bored with online learning at home. Okay, day in, day out, same area, same space, same space, maliit, malaki. It is the usual routinary thing that I do in a day. Students have started to get bored with online learning. Second, there are considerable depressive symptoms due to isolation. There's a prolonged isolation already, okay? And the symptoms of anxiety, there's a prolonged issue, uncertainties. Anong mangyayari? Will I get good grades? How's my teacher grading my my participation? Lahat naman kami off cam. No, how's my teacher? These are all uncertainties, no? And it created a lot of anxieties among learners. Mood and mood changes occur due to the many assignments, no? Especially if the students have not developed that independent learning skills, no? It's really difficult for them, no? They grapple, they strive, and with the challenges they face, with the boredom, with the mood, with the anxiety, with the depressive symptoms. These are all considered, no? These are all considered drastically affecting their mental health. Okay, especially now, no, if you have modules, no, day in day out, you find it very ineffective. For some, they find that effective. That that actually uh, affect a lot, no, the students' mental health and also the physical exhaustion, the fatigue, no. And for all of us, we remain clueless, no, how the pandemic and online learning is affecting mental health of a family member, which is our students, which is the learner. And to some, okay, and to some, the pandemic and online classes worsen mental illness among students if they're previously diagnosed already, okay. See that these challenges is actually affecting family well-being. We cannot speak about family wellness. We cannot talk about family well-being. You cannot espouse, no, that you are well if one of the members are suffering in an online learning environment. You cannot do that. Okay? Mahirap. You have to be more genuine. No? You have to be more true. And you have to communicate all this within the family members. Okay? How are students, no, affected by the shift to online learning? Actually, actually, there are a lot of there are a lot of issues when when the school shifted from face to face to online learning. No, they're not prepared, no, to adapt to the online learning. But I hope in the 2 years of online learning, schools and students are able now to drastically adapt. No, syempre, one of the requirements of online learning is your independent study skills, because at the end of the day, you are all by yourself. Okay? Kaya nga, when when there are instances that the teacher, no, single out a certain student, remember, when you turn off the gadget, when you turn off the laptop, they are all by themselves. Unlike during the face-to-face, when the teacher single out a student, andyan ang peers, no? They can talk about it, they can process the experience, but when the student are in online classes, when they turn off the gadget, they're all by themselves. Okay, they're all by them. Who's processing the experience? None. Okay. Prior to the pandemic, no, well, another learning difficulties, during the pandemic, there are actually some students who really thrive. Mas gusto nila ang online learning, and I see and experience and witness, no, a lot of students who really perform well. Um, for some reasons, I attended graduations moving up. Almost more than half, or 80% of the class are all in the high honors. No? Because for some, they really enjoy. During the pandemic, while others are really learning, but let us consider, no, in the safe space, let us also consider others who remain to be stuck. Okay? So, there are a lot of learning, no? Learning issues online. Okay? I leave this to the guidance and counseling office for your consumption, this PowerPoint presentation. But I really would like to share with you a study I and a partner in clinic, Dr. Meg, conducted, no?
the internet
so-
connection.
Nata sa Pilipinas.
Yes, oo. But so far, sir, very enlightening.
Grabe ka kuan
Yeah.
kayo.
I-
Except sa gitugnaw ta diri,
Mm-mm.
pero grabe ang mga learnings nga
Yeah, I mean, kanang it's a different perspective ba? No? Kanang murag, I thought it's simply talking about family relationships.
it's just about family
Oh,
lang
ana,
yun.
nice siya kay kanang pointing out ba ang mga dili kaayo mastoryaan, 'di ba? Within a family.
Kaya, because there are things and me nga dili ka open up with your family.
Yeah,
Dili
individual
ka-
struggles ba? Oo. When she said kanina na if one is struggling kono and you're not communicating that, you can't genuinely say that you're a happy family. Kanang na ba kay na isa nga dili well, ana ay, you're genuinely well, that not happy, not necessarily happy.
Ano na nabunta?
Tugnaw, ano. So, while we're waiting for Miss Elaine, I hope you can comment down below, no, your thoughts. Questions, yeah, thoughts.
Para later mag-ask na to si Miss Elaine about sa inyong mga
Yes.
ideas, mga reactions.
Yes.
And later we will have parents nga
Reacting
guess,
to the talk.
To the
Oo.
talk. Katong naka first hand experience gid as a mother, as anak.
Or how nila ginahandle ang mga struggles pod sa ilang children sa online learning, sa isolation, di ba?
Yes.
Kay isa sa na-mention kagaina is isolation gyud ang challenging. Kay di ba sir, murag kaingon lagi taog 2 weeks lang.
Oh, dali
wala
ra
na-
kayo ni Paspas ra kayo ni abot naman tag 2021.
Lagi, and it's almost
Mahapit
2
na mag
years.
2022.
Yeah.
So grabe kataas. So while waiting kang Miss Elaine, we would like to encourage everyone to please comment your
Yeah.
questions.
Your thoughts, reactions.
Your thoughts,
oo.
kung actually nanay mga
Kung
comments
nakarelate ba mo itong mga struggles or katong mga healthy relationships, diba? Share it to us kay para po ma-inspire me.
kay in fact there's no perfect family
Oo,
man
wala
gid.
dyan.
Nagid na yung mga struggles sa giagian, na yung mga problems. So we want to hear it from you sa tanan nga.
Yeah, so comment them down below, and Miss Elaine is back.
Oh, tungod ana kuanda quick man may kuan. Mga anta quick pinakwek. So naata diri.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you. Well, yeah, that is actually the we dropped. Suddenly we dropped due to internet connectivity issues.
Yes,
well,
It's
ma'am.
okay,
to put
ma'am.
in-
That's one of the struggles, Miss Elaine,
yes,
because we are in the
Struggles.
Philippines.
yeah. Well, continuing on the layunin no, ng pag-aaral or the objective of the study is to really identify the psychological problems that the students mostly experience in general, no. And I would like to proceed sa mga problemang may kinalaman sa pamilya, no. I really don't I will not share with you the entirety of the study, but the themes that emerge, the themes that emerge in the study ay mga problemang may kinalaman sa pamilya. Okay? Lumabas dyan the family structure, which in the earlier slides I mentioned about the family style, no? If the parent is single o hiwalay ang magulang, they're separated, or malayo, or working abroad, o OFW, this has something to do that actually and drastically impact the student's mental health or the youth's mental health in general. Problema sa magulang, like when they're heated or in a heated argument or pag-aaway ng magulang, and mostly pagiging controlling ng mga magulang, the pressure, either academic pressure. But did you know na interviewing a lot of parents, they're not actually pressuring the kids. It's perhaps the gestures would always tell, but the intentions are really not, And that created self-pressure, That created self-pressure among students, Kasi they live in assumptions, And these assumptions are sometimes valid because they see it non-verbally, They see it in the gestures. That's why we actually increases, sabi ko kayo to assert, clarify, clear out, check out with the family members, with the mom, with the dad, so that it will not implicate our mental health. And also, the unreasonable paghihigpit ng magulang. remember in my previous slides, growing teenagers, no, one of the platforms that they really learn a lot is the social platform. Okay, and nabanggit ko, I think twice or thrice, I emphasize that the world out there is the space that we provide our children to learn and experience from the mistake they got into, the challenges they got into, and that is the way they teach. That experience will teach them really to be resilient. Okay. There's also problemang social, hirap sa pakipagkaibigan, pakipaghalubilo, okay, maling impluwensya ng kaibigan, or, bullying is always on the top. Bullying is always on the top. That's why one of the advocacy I have really is to really provide awareness to all parents that bullies are actually victim. Bullies are victim mostly of their parents. Bullies are victim of the family circumstances, which I presented in a while. How the family is responding to the concern is the negative response to the concerns of the family would always create the bully. So remember, bullies are victim as well. So if we provide as a family, we provide an opportunity for all our kids, an opportunity then for all our parents to co-parent well well and parent as well. I don't think if there are problems, it will always be a good problem. Okay, so the students, when they face mental health issues in the pandemic, it always talk about their safety issues, their limited physical activities, the trauma. Oops, my friend got COVID. Oops, my lola's friend died of COVID. Oops, marami, and this is really stressful. And with the pandemic, there's actually 25% increase in violence and abuse at home, because living at home for some family, both culprit and the victim stays at home, isolated together. So you see now the violence and abuse, okay, whether it's verbal, whether it's physical, whether it's sexual, violence and abuse is there. The fear, the lack of emotional support because they don't have any friends to deal with because they're isolated, and the grief. Grieving is a big chunk of the pandemic because we grieve not just of the losing loved one, we grieve because we lost a routine. Okay, so and that increases the psychosocial aspect of COVID-19 pandemic. There's deterioration of social networks. Okay, there's higher emotional state. There's always anger at home. Pansin nyo, ang bilis mag-init ng ulo ni daddy, easily tempered si kuya, pikon si ate, because there's really high emotions. Ang lungkot ka agad, very dull, very negative emotions, yung feel ng bahay, severe anxiety and sadness. And even a lot of relapse, for those with mental illness already. And also, how the trauma symptoms can be, it is actually disabling the student. So the members of the family, which are the students, are really affected by the pandemic. There's a lot of studies, and these studies actually normalizes the emotional and psychological response. The National Association of Head Teachers would have their studies on learners, that fear, anxiety, and uncertainties there, the transition, the relationship, the self-regulation, the adapting skills are so poor. Also, the American College, they have concerns about the future, concerns about the people they care about, personal and safety, security, and financial stress. You will see that these are all there are common denominators, the safety, the anxiety, the suicide risk. In China, international studies would always normalize the response of all members of the family at the time of pandemic. Okay. Not to mention, we have here in the Philippines, no, the psychological impact of COVID in the Philippines. No, students report moderate to severe psychological impact of the pandemic. Timely and adequate health information has protective psychological effect, no? But overdoing health informations would have drastic effect as well, no? The home quarantine is associated with depression, anxiety, and stress symptoms, just like what other international studies have mentioned. Okay, and then the suddenly online, no? A lot of students become so dissatisfied, no, with academics. Keeping the interest is really worse online, and so on. And also the University of Mindanao, about knowledge, attitudes, anxiety, and coping strategies of students, no? There are technological limitations, there are financial constraints, there's increased anxiety. So you see that there is really common, no? And at the end of it all, the family are the ones that are greatly affected by the learners' emotional, psychological, and difficulties, no? Response and the difficulties encountered in the online learning. In fact, kaya ako nag-focus on the learner in half of my presentation is that because most of the family, no, the challenges they face is how to deal with the learner at home. That's why when we talk about family wellness, we cannot really talk about wellness if there are one member suffering. And the most challenging, no, circumstances the learner face is the learning environment that they are in. Okay, and there are barriers to learning. Sometimes, no, sometimes even if the students would like to, no, they're really now motivated, but there are naman technological barriers. But there are naman individual barriers. There's domestic barriers, no. Even if they have the inner resources, the lack of devices, no, the unreliable slow internet, just like how I encountered in a while, the lack of technical skills, okay, the issues on online learning, no, there are also individual barriers, okay, like difficulty adjusting. The learning styles are really affected. No, there are a lot of students who learn visually. There are also students who learn by activities. There are a lot of students who learn by listening, and in the online classes, they all listen. Kaya I admire those schools who still maximize the different styles of learning so that they can still create the balance of learners. Okay? There are also domestic barriers like limited space conducive for learning. Remember, we are all isolated together as a family. So if there are a lot of family members, they have different space inside their home. But if the home is limited, the space at home is limited, it no longer become very conducive for their learning. Okay. Also, the responsibilities at home, because we are stricken by financial difficulties, some family would let go of the kasambahay, no, and they need to do the chores by themselves. And remember, tayo nga, hirap tayo on setting boundaries and more on the responsibilities at home. Okay? And for some, lack of basic needs. And there's also institutional barriers, no? There's poor communication between learners, educators, there's gap in knowledge, there's excessive cognitive load, and limited opportunities to interact with peers, and the neglect. No? Ang mataas ang propensity of neglect in Zoom classes. And also some community barriers. We are now living with Gen Z, or more than the millennials. We have the Gen Z that they are really much involved in socio-political concerns. It can be also community barriers they get inside the home. Okay, so if a family, no, if the family would notice children becoming irritable, short-tempered, obsessive, no, sudden deterioration in the quality of work, stops attending online classes, begins turning in late assignments, and becoming disrespectful at home or in school, that is something that you have to watch out for and communicate. Set a family meeting to discuss all the difficulties, no, your children are encountering online. Also, the unusual behaviors, no, they become so accusatory when they talk to the parents or when they email teachers. The tone is becoming accusatory. They become manipulative. Oh, mom, no? Or sexually inappropriate or threatening. Discussion post contents in the social media are becoming bizarre, fantastical, paranoid, destructive, and shows the confusion and disorientation. That is something for you to watch out for. And when when you talk to them and they seem to be out of touch with reality, it could be an indicator of poor mental health. And if you do not do something to stop the prolonged exposure of the kids or you as a parent, no, it will definitely um, develop mental illness, no, symptoms. No. Now, at the end of it all, no, understanding the family well-being, the family structures affecting the influencers, the communications at home, the home set, the work from home setup, the parenting styles, and so on, how we co-parent, how we deal with partners, while all these comprise, no, or influence well-being, we have to balance them and maintain, no, still well-being. And the first attack is to change our attitude. Attitude changes everything. I am a firm believer that attitude changes everything. And with that, we have to help one another to have an attitude check. No? You cannot change your son's attitude. You cannot change your daughter's attitude. So more so for the kids, you cannot change your parents' attitude. Okay. But you can always do something to influence them change. Okay. There are indicator areas of this, no, helping the families maintain well-being by espousing better attitude, positive attitude. Indicators that they are becoming, that these are achieved, no, when each of the family member they feel welcomed and accepted at home. Okay, they're not judged. They are not pinpointed. They are not blamed. No, so and also if a family is seen as part of the community, okay, and you see yourself as part of that family as well, that is a good indicator that you are maintaining well-being in the family. Okay, what could be the possible measures for this? You can ask your kids, you can ask your mom, get their feedbacks, and become more open among the family members. Okay, the second way to maintain well-being in the family is to increase sense of belongingness and inclusion. Okay, you include them, you consult kids, you consult your parents, you include them in the decision making. That will increase their sense of belongingness. Okay, as mentioned, family is seen as a unit, whatever the family structure is. Okay, so make sure that the kids and the parents and all members of the family feel that that they belong. Okay, if the dad feels a high sense of belongingness, the dad would go out. The dad would go out, just the same as the mom. Just the same as the kids. Families feel welcome and connected with the family members and in the communities they belong. Okay, pre-pandemic, when you spend time with friends, invite family friends, di ba meron tayong ganyan, we have family friends, when we have dinners, when we invite them to a party, and when we are invited to a party, we join clubs with the family, yung mga family day, and so on, going on holidays. These are actually good indicators that the sense of belongingness and inclusion is okay in the family, hence the family well-being. Okay, and if all family members feel safe, because they are not judged, they are very much included in everything that the family do. Okay, the possible measure, syempre, participation of children in family meetings, in the community, in any family activities. Not, si kuya nasa room lang, alis na tayo, no? Okay, hindi tayo kumpleto because they are all busy with their work, no? Belonging and inclusion would always be a more important aspect of well-being. Okay,
Feedback and openness among family members could be a possible measure for this as well. The third area that we increase, to maintain the family well-being is the good support and connections. Okay, we support each other. We are connected with each other inside the family. Okay, you acknowledge the preferences of the individual members of the family. You respect the culture that they learn from outside to the home, so that outsiders can also accept and respect the culture you provide outside the home. Okay, professional and services work in partnership with families. If there are, for example, family problems, they're always in the loop, that you seek help. Family seeking help, just like individually seeking help, is a sign of strength than a sign of weakness. Oh, my family is having hard time dealing with the teenagers. It's all okay. It's all good. It's not just you who's feeling that and experiencing that. We all have our own sentiments of family difficulties, and seeking help from elders, from your ninong and ninang in your wedding, or in your wedding, or the godmothers, the godfathers of the kids, or the pastors, or the priests, or psychologists, in your community will always espouse, good support system and connection. Okay, and also if these are all okay, you will see them, in the feedbacks and openness among the kids. And lastly, the way to maintain well-being is to be self-compassionate inside the home. Be fair, be kind, and as a family, have a more objective planning, with confidence. What do you want to do as a family? Okay, what are the challenges that what are the challenges of each of the family members that hampers the achievement of our plan, and you have to deal with them, if they, and no judgment if they are the ones parang because kasi si kuya, hindi tuloy natin nagawa ito, there's no judgment. You have to be fair, you have to be kind, and with confidence able to spread out the plan for the family. Okay, the family preferences are respected. These are one of the indicators that well-being the family is maintained. There's transparent and fair process. Okay, kung saan napupunta yung money, our kids, we no longer underestimate our kids now. They know they know where the allocation of resources go, and they have to be consulted with that. And not all the time, there are for parents and there are for children, but there are for, when you talk of family, it should be a collaborative effort. Adequate income and housing maintains family well-being. Okay, for some this may be challenging, but creating a safe space, providing safe space for our kids with decent housing and adequate income to provide for their needs is something that increases family well-being as well. Okay, their access to health. Okay, if they are supported in education, if they're supported with their checkups, with their pedia, with their ailments, you are there right away. You don't underestimate the ailments of the head and so on, the aches, and that is something that a lot of kids would always say, it's not being taken care of, or that is the part of the family that's less priority, our health. May mga ganon, and that's actually part of the discussions when you do the family meeting your own. So these are indicators in this area. Be self-compassionate in the family. And what are the possible measures of this? If you see the kids talking about this in an open table, there's openness, there's genuineness, that they can really express all this because they are not afraid to be rejected, because you are fair, you are kind. We are all kind. We're kind to our parents, we're fair to our parents, the parents are fair and kind to us. And confidently we can plan as a family. Okay, so I think that ends my presentation. I don't know if I Anit, yes, that's 11:24, and I hope there are questions I answer and discussions.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much, Miss Elaine.
Yes.
And at this time, Anmi, before magkuhan sa mga questions, let's have first the reaction from the
our
parents.
Yes.
So we have, please, paila-ila sa itong mga parents.
First, let us hear from Miss Catherine Raphael. Ma'am, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Miss Elaine.
Good morning, Miss Kathy.
First of all, I would like to thank FSUU for having this kind of talk, not for the students, but for us also, parents, because very well presented, Miss Elaine, the topic. And I do not know kung may tatanong pa ba ako or wala because parang nasagot na lahat. And I agree with you that this pandemic is not all para bang masama. Because I have the chance to observe my kid because she's very vocal in our house. I let her talk. I let her express her feelings, her thoughts, her emotions, para maintindihan ko siya. But during, before pandemic, excuse me, before pandemic, sa face-to-face class nila, she's very, kung ano siya sa bahay, very opposite siya sa school. Then, para bang it's not nice to say I'm happy that this pandemic happened, but during our synchronous or asynchronous class, I got to observe her and then encourage her to speak up and express her thoughts. And I lately, I see her naman improving. And for my question, actually, there are two concerns, observations, not in our house, but from other family members. We are all in the during this abnormal situation that we are in now. How can we normalize? How can I ask this? Parang how can we put routine to everything? Kasi parang wala ng schedule. Kids sleep late at night, wake up at lunchtime. And correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Elaine, lack of sleep affect the mental well-being of a person. So paano ho yun? Paano ho natin ibalik, though we are in an abnormal situation, nasa bahay ho tayo, paano ho natin i-normalize everything po?
Yeah, you are correct, Ma'am Cathy. No? Sleep, problematic sleep patterns or destructive sleeps drastically affect our mental health. No? It actually changes the next day mood kapag kulang tayo sa tulog. And it becomes a cycle. It's a domino effect. No? And it all starts with the physical self, and then it affects relating with others. It affects the plan for the day of the family. You are correct. And that's really a concern a lot of parents would have day in, day out for the family. That's why we have to involve. We have to involve. It's not as a parent kung ano yung gusto natin. We have to involve the kids. How in terms of planning and planning it confidently, how do we want our day start and end? I mean, and that when they are consulted and they are heard and they're not judged, you will also see as a parent the reason or the functions of their behavior. Bakit nga ba sila laging tulog? Bakit nga ba sila laging puyat? For some, it's because talagang poor na yung kanilang mental health. I mean, it can be nagsasuffer sila, and some mental illness symptoms would have uncontrollable destructive sleep patterns, the feeling of emptiness, cannot sleep, they overthink, and they cannot just easily control that. I mean, if they want, they can easily control that. But the interplay of some psychological impact of the pandemic is really a serious one. Hence, I suggest that we sit down as a family. For several times, I mentioned about setting up plans and coming up with a family meeting and involve them in the planning, and give them their inner resources, provide them the opportunity to share their inner resources in one way or another, kahit konti, ma'am, yung tulog ko na 13 hours, 12 hours na lang, that is a celebration already, and that motivates them, okay? Until they learn the resilience, they increase their coping resources, not because we try to change them directly, but because with your guidance and your leader, yung pag-lead mo sa family, pag-parent mo sa kanila, help them develop a stronger capacities for cooperation. Sometimes as parents, ang pakainis ng anak ko, ayaw makipag-cooperate, hirap na ako, But we cannot just tell that. We cannot just tell that. We have to show them. We have to model them. And that's something quite challenging in these times, but sabi nga natin, as parents, di man tayo sumusuko. Nagpapahinga lang. Nagpapahinga lang. Which is correct. Well, ulitin ko, we try to develop resiliency and psychological coping inner resources among our kids by involving them, okay? Involving them in the process of decision making in the family, setting how we start the day. And for some activities, make them lead activities, What do you want to do for the day? And then we follow, Set a schedule who will be the in charge for the day. And they sometimes become so excited about it. What activities do we do now? Just to break the boredom at home. Okay? This is the time that we become creative, Sabi ko, you are correct, Mommy Cathy, na while pandemic is not a good thing for some, the pandemic changes our perspective. It changes the way we think and the way we move forward.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Cathy
and Miss Elaine.
So at this point,
Thank
let's
you
have the reaction from Ma'am Jocelyn
L.
Yuchamco
Yuchamco.
and the question from Ma'am
Yes.
Jo.
Your reaction and your question.
Ma'am Jocelyn.
Hi. Hi, ma'am.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Ma'am Jocelyn.
Thank you, ma'am, sa talk. Kay dagan ko na learn. I'm Jocelyn Yutiamco. Ako na learn kay how about to achieve happiness as a family.
Yes.
Learn to be contented, always grateful sa time na ato na spend kauban sa family, and find time sa atong pamilya for me. And always solve problems. Communication is important kaayo, sharing sa atong kauban sa pamilya. No? Yeah. Engage in leisure activities, maghatag og time sa family bonding, bisag na ara sa balay as long as naglaan og time. Develop optimism, bisag on sa kalisod, always na adyod hunahon na rainbow after the rain, na maoki lang ang tanan ug ang uban sa pagtinabangay, basta magtinabangay lang, no? Anak lang higit siya. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ma'am Jo,
Yes.
do you have question for Miss Elaine?
Hello. Yes, akong question is, my daughter is very active sa school and non-academic activities. Now she is too busy and does not have time to herself we are supportive to her, but we also want to make sure that she has a good mental health. What can we do as parents, ma'am?
Yes. Miss Jo, I don't really understand Bisaya, but I totally understand you. Because it can be because of the tone and the English words inserted, no? I completely understand, no? And thank you for that affirmation. Those activities are really a good set of activities, no? To maintain happiness among the family and getting the kids involved in planning activities. And yes, you're correct. We have kids who, in one way or another, respond to the pandemic, exhausting themselves too much. No, we all start with because they're bored. No, it could be. It could be they're bored, or it could be that they would like to maintain, sabi ko kanina, a life of happiness is a life of engagement. No? Maintaining personal happiness by engaging oneself in a community work is all perfectly well or fine. However, this is very cliche, no? At the end of the day, we will find ourselves too tired. And as a parent, seeing them tired and sometimes meltdown due to the physical fatigue is something that we worry as a parent. Now, how do we do? No? How do we do? We espouse self-compassion. No? Remember, in the self-compassion to maintain happy family or family well-being is to be fair and kind. No? Fair to yourself and kind to yourself. Fair, there are times that it's okay to involve yourself in the community, and there are times that it's still okay that you don't involve yourself in the community. Giving yourself too much, no, of your time without leaving something, no, for yourself, you will eat yourself. You will burn. You will burn, no. You will burn yourself, no, and later on you will find yourself guilty, no? Why I did not spend so much time for myself, and we don't want that happen to kids, no? As a family, perhaps we start to espouse self-compassion activities, no? Self-compassion activities can be done in 4 ways, no? Can be done in 4 ways. There's self-compassionate cognitive processes, or the way we think is more fair and kind to ourselves, no? Teach the kids or teach your daughter, no, to plan and not to go right away, no, to the activity, to the community, to plan. And in my engagement with that community, how do I enrich myself first before engaging? That will help you. That will help you still maintain your child's, no, and help your child to still maintain her own mental health. What I can do and what I cannot do for this community. Plan ahead. That's the way, no? That's a self-compassionate thinking processes, perspective, no? The other one naman is self-compassionate emotional regulation. Okay? Sada ko with this community, no? And by not being carried away with the emotional struggles of other people, you maintain that positive emotional stance, no? Engaging your child to activities at home that promotes meaning making. What's the meaning of all this? What is happening today, and despite the challenging day, what are you grateful for? See, kahit na busy Miss Jocelyn yung anak nyo sa community, but she's able to feel that sense of gratitude, no? Because perhaps your family is blessed and this is the way that I can extend the blessing. That is something self-care pa rin yun, okay? So you strike the balance, no? You strike the balance with self-care and other care, no? And paano natin mamamodel yon? We started with the home. We started with the family.
Okay, thank you.
Yan.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Ma'am Jocelyn and
Yes, and Miss Elaine. And of
Miss
course, we would
Elaine.
like to thank Miss Catherine also, no? They stayed with us the entire time.
our
and-
reactors.
Yeah. Heart. Okay. But yeah.
So let's have now the questions from our audience, our
Yes.
viewers.
I
So
have here kanina pa ako na siyang take note dyan. This is from Shaina May
Maligon.
Maligon. Ma'am, she asked, how can we make our parents understand that depression and anxiety are not just kaartehan?
Question. I really love that question. You know, it's actually, sabi ko nga kanina, I remember in one of my slides, no, it talks about intergenerational challenges, no. It is only in the we are in the advent of awareness of mental health. But mental health exists the time human exists, no. It's just that the awareness of our youth is really reaching the level of really understanding what mental health and mental illness is all about. Okay. How do we now? No? How do we now express to the parents that it's not our choice? No, it's our. Alam mo kung pwede lang, no. Wag na tayo magkaroon ng depression, but it's not really our choice. No. Sabi ko nga kanina, when we define mental illness, it's actually a neurological, meaning it's something there in the brain. It can be neurological or it can be a learned dysfunction. There's two things, no? Neurological, meaning that is something of the brain, and the other one naman is a learned dysfunction due to prolonged exposure to light cortex. Okay? And kung pwede lang, no, for our youth na wag na lang namin tumafeel kasi napakahirap, it's uncontrollable. And believe it or not, mas gugustuhin natin na sana hindi na lang ako na-strike nitong depression and anxiety kasi ayoko. No? And it's not because kulang ako sa dasal, it's not because kulang kasi ako sa time sa parents, or because lagi ako mag-isa or whatever. No? It's sometimes very neurological and sometimes prolonged exposure to life difficulties, which for most of the part, contributing ang family. Okay? And now, the last is, how do we now express this? We express this by having family talk, and we present them with two Fs. You know? We present them with two Fs. We present our parents with what we feel and the facts. Okay? What we feel and the facts. The feelings will always express what are we feeling about the conditions, or what are we feeling about the situations we are in. That is the fact, and that is the feeling. Okay? And they are supportive of each other. And when the parents learn and understand, they can be more, no? They can be more accepting. They can not be judging you, no? And of course, there's always a reliable source of information for your parents. Kaya nga, I admire the Urios, no, for having this, kasi this is one activity we involve our parents, no, to know more from the licensed professionals to discuss about mental illness and to discuss about for mental health and mental health, because it can be, meron naman tayong mental illness. We may not be suffering from depression or anxiety or other personality disorders, but for some reasons that we have suffered enough poor mental health because we have lack of sleep. You know? It's not because we choose not to sleep, but we cannot just sleep. You know? And there's a lot of things that happening and going on in our brain. And convincing our parents to believe is present them with your feelings and with the facts. Okay, feelings and with the facts. That is something that we push for, and let our parents be aware. And with that, they will. I don't know, but I hope, no, with the hope that they will learn themselves, read the law, read mental health. That this is not something that we fabricate or just created for use.
True. So
Okay, so take note of the two F's, the
feelings and the facts.
I know, face to face. Okay, so we have one question here, Miss Elaine. How can I move out from the box that I am in just to communicate heart to heart with my family, even though I already knew none of my words of depression and words of tears does not matter that much to them? From Ben Cheb Rodriguez.
Yeah, parang He's saying na how will he open up when he already knows that they don't really care about.
He knows the answer already
Yeah, something
from
like
the parents.
Very relatable.
Nabanggit ko kanina about help-seeking behavior. No? If you have exhausted everything and you suffered, no, it's because the coping resources that you have right now, hindi mo magamit, no? Because you have exhausted yourself. It can be that you are in a dilemma or crisis already. You always have to seek for help. No? Seek for help, seek for your guidance counselor, discuss this. And the guidance counselor will always assist you in setting up case conference or family conference and sharing with your parents what you've been sharing with the counselor or with the psychologist, no? And especially that if you are, no, I am not really sure if you're of legal age or underage or minor ka pa, no? If you are of legal age, you have the disposition to decide for yourself. I mean, you can reach out to your counselor, discuss with them their difficulties, and your counselors will help you out in terms of managing your emotions in dealing with your family, create a more factual basis of communicating what you feel and conditions, why are you feeling that, and then communicate, communicate. If you cannot do this by yourself, there is always a help available for you. That is your right. That is a mental health service to begin with, and that's your right.
So there should be open communication with the family, with the members of the family. And also we have from Urios, we have the telehelp if you need some help. So our guidance counselors are ready to give cash, to give advices sa inyong tanan. It could be on the love o kanang mga uyab-uyab tanan bisag unsa nga mga advices. Muhaton na sa
Sir Carl.
Sir Carl. Naunsa magkani.
Sometimes inana jud. Kana bitang you don't know what you're feeling na. Paspas mo heartbeat ana mura ka di ka ginhawa. So ayun na. Just trying to take it all in. Yeah.
So there are many comments
yes.
about family. For example, how will you react this, Miss Elaine? It is quite difficult to tell your parents about your worries and problems, especially when you see them struggling.
Yes, kana na part. Sometimes we bottle up emotions lang po daw dahil alam naman nila na may struggle na yung parents nila tapos dadagdag pa sila. Parang ganon, trying to be sensitive then towards parents.
Yeah, actually a lot of our teenagers, if not all, will have that as a concern. My mom is struggling, I don't want to add to the struggle. I don't want to add to the problem. But remember, you are part of a family. Na? Ang sakit ng very small part of the body is
kalingkingan.
Concern of kalingkingan. Ang sakit ng kalingkingan ay sakit ng buong katawan. So, actually, the problem of the family, looking at it in a more systemic approach, is the problem of the family is not actually the problem. Okay? The problem is of the family is how each member of the family copes with the problem. Okay? So, anong ibig sabihin nun? When you are trying to cope by yourself, okay, and you don't communicate how you are coping and struggling with the family circumstance, that becomes the problem. Okay? If the mom is struggling, sabi nga niya, no, sabi nung nagtanong, masyado na madaming problema ang mami ko. See, the problem the problem of the family is not the problem, but how that teenager see the mom struggling to cope with the challenge of the family. So, in other words, when we look at it in the perspective of family, you don't uniquely address it by yourself. You address it as a family. You address, no? May mga point na may mga point, pag pinag-usapan na natin ay family, we are struggling. And I actually is struggling, and we as a family have to do something about this. I always tell students and clients about the common notion na ayoko nang dumagdag sa problema ng pamilya. Okay? If you will look at that at an analogy of a family, you are part of the family. You are struggling with that problem already. Hindi ka dumadagdag kasi nandun ka na sa loob.
Yes.
Remember, nandun ka na sa loob. And there's no other way but to solve them with your family. Okay? So, I hope a lot of parents, a lot of elders, teachers would communicate that and that understanding among teenagers that hindi ka dumadagdag sa family problem. Okay? Because you are part of the family, that becomes the family problem, and we have to solve it as a family. Okay? So, remember, the 4 last slides I present you is maintaining family wellness or maintaining family well-being is to include inclusion and belongingness. By saying to yourself na ayoko nang dumagdag, you are excluding yourself. Do you get the analogy?
Yes.
You're excluding yourself. You're not engaging yourself. Mas maganda, one of the indicator of a family that is happy or family well-being is when you look for solution to the problem as a family. Remember in the first 2 slides, I guess.
So if you are excluding yourself, meaning you are adding another problem. That's it.
Yeah, but we're a family man. So,
so dapat makig-communicate, dili ka pwede mo palayo sa
sometimes good, it's what we see from our parents then they don't open up ang good pod. So we think nga,
dili pwede.
Yeah, I mean, gusto po sila na dili ta ma-appeal sa problem so murag kuwang lang yung communication.
Okay, so this question from
Actually, Ronald and Anne-May, it's not just the problem of the kids. It's also the same problem of the parents. Ayoko nang, nahihirapan yung anak ko sa school niya, ayoko nang idagdag pa ng problema ako sa tuition fee niya. Di ba? May ganyan. Ayoko nang sabihin na meron kaming financial problem. So ayoko na sabihin na the dad is having, o meron akong ailments. No? Ayoko na sabihin na, yung alam mo yung sisikretuhin yung maraming bagay. No? Where in fact, as a family, you are a unit, no? You are not separated, no? You are one, no? You are one as a family.
Lagi. True. Bitaw. Thank you for making me realize that now, ma'am. And now we have here another question. How about children from broken families? How will they or how should any advice, ma'am, on how they should or could cope up?
What do you mean by broken family? Because, one of the advocacy as well is to increase awareness that there is no such thing as broken family. There's no, because sabi ko nga kayo na, looking at it in a more systemic perspective, when you say broken family, you are part of the family. That means you are telling yourself that you're broken. Or, diba? But when you talk about broken family, what does it mean? Ibig sabihin ba nun, wala kang tatay, wala kang mommy, hiwalay sila. But that does not make it a broken family, no? Remember, family type, no? Family type, nakalagay doon, diba? Merong one parent, single parent, but still a family, no? And what is more important is you strive for wellness. You are contented despite you don't have a dad, you are contented despite, no? But I know, I don't want to invalidate the feelings of those students, no, feelings of those teenagers who are really struggling because the parents, the dad or the mom is not supportive. At the end of it all, what are still you're grateful for? What makes you still go by despite, no? What are the strength? And I think you have to focus more on what makes you live day after day after day despite, no? And what makes you thankful for despite. Than becoming problem focused. We have to look at ourselves na, oh, I'm getting by, no? I'm getting by despite, no? I'm getting by despite. So I think that's something that we want to communicate with with our teenagers, no? With that, I'm not saying that they're wrong, that they're walang ganon. It's valid, no? It's really a valid emotion that we have to process among them.
Thank you so much for that, ma'am.
Wrap up.
Diba, there's no such thing as broken family. Family
So
types.
it must be defined kung
Yeah.
unsa gid siya nga point.
And it doesn't mean a broken. Nalay different family
Mm.
types. Because diba we say man ganin na our friends are our family tapos di ni mo
Broken and
consider
all.
yeah. So it's something like that. And of course we are yes.
There is such thing as dysfunctional family,
Yes.
but not broken.
So use the word dysfunctional.
Instead of broken because we're not
So again, we would like to invite everyone, if you have problems, if you have queries about bisag unsa nga mga problems nga pwede maka-advise ang Urios, please contact us through our telehelp services. We have from the Student and Alumni Affairs, from the Medical Dental, Guidance and Counseling, and the Religious Affairs.
Yes. They're all ready to
So,
help.
naka-flash sa atong screen ang atong mga contact numbers.
Ayan.
So, Anmi,
I feel so enlightened. Ikaw, sir, how do you feel right now?
ako, based on the comments, reading on the comments, there are comments that I cannot relate because, di ba, ako, I'm proud of my family because we have the open communication. Gamay nga problem. At my age, sa bakon pa ko, lingkuran pa ko ni Papa, and then asking about, what's your problem, so, open discussion, and then the support is there. So, that's why, dili ko ka-relate on the comments, kanaganing, dili sila open with their family, they cannot, even saying, I love you is very difficult for them, because sa among family, we are open for that. And, with those experiences, take note nga, kung if you have some heartaches in your family, mas masakitan ka kung mawala imong mga parents than katong mga kaartihan. Normal lagi ng parents nga magyaw-yaw, normal lagi na siya. And you will value those things pag kamo na pud ang mahimo nga mama, mahimo nga parents. Di ba, Anmi?
Sa akong part, I can relate to them because I do not come from a family who is very open. No, we're not really expressive of how we feel. Hindi lagi pwede mag-cry. Ano ba? Ano,
2 weeks in a row. Oh.
Dalawang episode na to na I don't come from
It's okay to cry man, Anmi.
but I don't come from a family who's very expressive, so I've developed itong bottling up my problems. Like, ako lang. Kaya ko to. Ganyan. And then I observe a lot of things going on. And I can't raise or question because, lagi, we don't talk about it. Meron siya na unwritten rule, bitaw, na you don't ask, you just,
you just listen and pakiramdam.
That's why, kusog kong heartbeat karon while nag-listen ka, ma'am. Kaya I don't know, is it anxiety or I'm just overwhelmed? Ganyan. So, but I'm very thankful because, we learn every day. And it doesn't hurt if we echo what we learned today to our family din naman later on. Ganyan.
Ako, that's why I make sure that my friends are part of my family. Mag-close para open gid kaayo siya.
Yeah.
Ana lang. So, we would like to invite our parents.
Yes, let's tell our parents not to watch this episode.
To rewatch.
Yes.
Rewatch.
Since this will be on our Facebook page. Now we would like to thank our beautiful, eloquent, and very helpful speaker who was very busy for binigyan niya talaga tayo ng oras. No? So let me read the Certificate of Appreciation. Father Saturnino Orios University, Butuan City. Certificate of Appreciation is hereby given to Elaine Marie D. Aranda, RPSY, RPM, RGC, for giving her precious time and sharing her knowledge and expertise as guest speaker during the FSUU Sunnyside episode, Healthy Family, Healthy Me, held at Father Saturnino Orios University, Butuan City, given this 20th day of October 2021, signed Engineer Zenaida D. Azura, Vice President of Admin and Student Affairs. Ayan. As a copy will be emailed to you.
Okay, so we will just email. Thank you so much, Miss Elaine, for your time.
Yes.
For sharing your expertise to us. So we'll learn a lot.
Yeah, so before we say goodbye to you, ma'am, any advice, any last words na...
Final word.
Yeah, final word. Grabe naman kung yung
Final?
last words. Final words na gusto mo pong sabihin sa ating viewers, to the parents, to the students, and faculty, teachers. Yeah, everyone.
Okay. Actually, I always reserve this parting words. I opted not to include this message in my presentation every time that I give a talk. Whatever it is that we encounter in a day that is may be hard or may be good, may be good or bad. That is actually the comfortable and uncomfortable of life, aspect of life that make life worth living. So it's not that always good that makes life worth living. It's not always bad that makes life worth living. It's the presence of both. Okay. And with this, we are challenged to look at ourselves and develop that confidence. Confidence that increases our understanding of who we are, what we want, our potentials, our abilities, and that at the end of the day, we enjoy the level of self-esteem that will carry out, we will help us carry on day after day after day after day. And thank you for this opportunity to say that last message. Maraming salamat.
Thank you so much.
My heart is full. My heart is full. Thank you so much, ma'am. We truly enjoyed and felt safe.
And hope to see you in some
sa pohon na mga activities.
Yes. So, your final word, Anmi?
I really loved it when she said that a life of happiness is a life of engagement. Yes. It's something that I'm going to remember for sure. What about you, sir?
Challenges are part of our wholeness. So, if there's challenges, so meaning our life is active, our life is productive. So, just don't think, don't overthink it. Okay? So, ayaw siya i-overthink. Okay? So, parents daw, hindi susoko. Papahinga lang.
Yeah, bisan kita, bisan ikaw,
bisan,
sir.
yes.
Yeah, diba?
Of course.
We just rest.
Bisan si Sir Jeff Karin. Hello, Sir Jeff. Welcome to Sunnyside. So, we would like to thank our ang among setup, ang among plato, Kuya Bong. Salamat, Kuya Bong.
And of course, we would also like to thank Aura, Guidance, and our clinic for organizing, giving us the opportunity to have this talk. And of course, our Strategic Communications Office.
Headed by Ma'am Susette,
Sir
Ma'am
Philip
Kakay,
Morris,
si Sir Fred, and Antoinette.
Yan.
Okay, so announcement for the call of entries.
This is what I love. Last year, I was very involved with this one.
Okay, photo competition for Mindanao Peace Conference.
GIZ, baka naman.
Unsa to siya? Kala sa photo competition and exhibition 2021. So
theme: youthful expressions, keeping a lens on peace building in Mindanao.
That will be on November 24, 2021.
Deadline will be October 30.
So please send your entries.
Yes,
and
this will be with our Peace Conference. Mindanao Peace Conference, man.
Okay, so we're done, Anne-May. Panghupaw na lang kayo.
And of course, do not forget to visit the activities, don't forget
visit the FB page of Guidance Office to check for the activities kailang ipanghatag. So we would like to thank our guidance counselor, si Ma'am Inday Gales, the Buhaka Queen, si Guide Enya, si Sir Carl, and of course our director, si Ma'am Jo, nga kuanda itong iyang birthday. Kanang, it's a prank. It's a prank.
Ayan.
Okay, so
daghan kay comments man di ay.
Daghan lagi kayo, wala lang ko nagbasa kay ko. Basta maka-get over mo ana, don't forget to love your family, don't forget to say I love you to your parents kay lisod na kayo. Yeah. So unsa pa man ani? Extend pa ta?
Ayan. Daghan kay salamat.
Daghang salamat. My name is Ronald Alan H. Butalid. Stay safe and test negative. I-short na gid nako.
Again, I am Anne Monique, and don't forget that mental health is different from mental illness.
Illness.
Ayan. Thank you so much for watching, and of course, we are hoping to see you on the next episode of On the
The
Sunny
Sunny
Side,
Side, Season 2! Bye-bye,
Congratulations,
everyone!
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye! Hi, Jason. Kung wala na yung viewers, naragin si Jason. Hello, hello.
On Wednesdays,
And
we wear pink.
Warren.
On
Thank you
Wednesdays, we wear
kayo.
pink.